Look, I opened this jar of rotten baby food, and well, a butterfly came out.
So they always say that fall in love with the journey, you will see progress. So once you're at the top, once you have mastered the skills, you can become a philosopher and write your sayings, write your teaching.
Welcome to the Comedians and Elevators podcast. I've got my guest, Xeric Tomar. Xeric, say hi, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Xeric. I am from India, Bombay. I'm 18 years of age. I am an actor and a model. I've done almost 120 ads and 70 plus print shoots. And I've been
That's pretty good.
working
And
since past 5 years.
God, that's pretty good. That's a lot of work. So that's good to hear. Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you ready to get started?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Listen, to my regular listeners, I know you don't like when at the beginning of these conversations I ask you to subscribe. None of us like it. I don't like saying it. I don't like it being in here. But it's frustrating. You know what else is frustrating? It's also frustrating when I look in the back end of the YouTube channel and I see that 56% of you that watch frequently haven't yet subscribed. And I know this because I see it in the comments section. You say things like, I didn't know I didn't subscribe. And that's actually what fuels the show. Basically, it's like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask all the time, because it enables us to build and build and build. And we're going for the long term here. Hit the subscribe button and we'll continue to build this show for you. That's my promise. Thank you to all you guys that do subscribe. It means the world to me.
All right. So the whole point of the podcast is to compare and contrast the comic versus the comedian. So I define the comic as any person telling funny jokes versus the comedian who's a funny person telling any jokes. So Xeric, would you agree that you start as a comic and evolve into a comedian?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Awesome. All right. So you ready for the first question?
Yeah, ready for the first question.
All right. So it's about the role of persona in comedy. So how much of the comedian's voice is a character versus the real self?
Um, when it comes to the voice part, I'll say the voice is very important when it comes to comparing the voice between the character, between how they talk on stage versus how they are in real life. Because I've heard about a lot of Indian comedians and a lot about the American comedians. I know one of the comedians. He's Mexican American. I don't know his name, but he has got a different voice. Whenever he's on stage, he has got a different comic, funny, humorous voice as compared to how he is in real life. So I feel like your voice matters a lot, even when it comes to acting. In acting, also your voice matters. The way you deliver dialogues, the way you speak, the way you talk about a thing, because acting is what you're basically acting like a character. So voice matters a lot. Voice is important.
Absolutely. So I'm assuming you have different voices yourself that you use or no?
Yeah, I do have a few voices. Yeah,
All right.
for different
Very cool.
emotions.
For different emotions. Yeah. And different emotions. So how about punching up versus punching down? So where do comics versus comedians subscribe to this? And let me put it in some historical context. Did a jealous medieval prince become the first comedian by killing the court jester?
Yeah, it did. This is the example of punching up. I think I think punching up is important and it's better than punching down, because as when it comes to a comedian who has got a wealthy audience, and he can mock them, he can make fun of them. That's a way of you showing power to the audience that you are someone. And I think it's much funnier if you make fun of the rich as compared to when you make fun of the poor, because it's not their fault for being poor. And of course everybody's working hard, nobody's lazy, everybody, and at the end of the day we all want money, right? So everybody's working hard, but it's better to make fun of the rich. It's better when it comes to seeing it and listening to it, and also when it comes to being a comedian and joking about something.
So then is criticizing dead people considered punching down?
Depends. Is that person rich, and what
Okay.
all stuff has he done? Has he done
Right.
good stuff or has he done bad stuff? Depends on that.
Okay. So it doesn't,
Yeah.
so it actually doesn't matter if he's dead or not.
Doesn't matter. No, no, doesn't matter. Depends on. So there's this saying in the Indian terminology, which is karma. I'm
Hmm.
sure you've heard of it and you know what it
Of
is.
course. Yeah.
So it's all the so if a person who's dead and has done bad stuff, really bad stuff, making fun of him is valid. That's allowed. You can do that. According to me, that's allowed. That is like
Hmm.
you can joke about it, you can criticize him, whatever stuff he has done. But if it's a dead person who hasn't done anything bad and was a good person to the people or to the community and making fun of him, then I think it's a little inappropriate to make fun of that person. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. So how about the cultural translation of comedy? So how do jokes that work in one country bomb in another?
Oh, oh. Um, I think I'd say the I'd choose the class example between the Indians and the Americans. I think the culture is important. Language depends on what language. If it's English, English is fine. You can speak the jokes in English in India. They'll be as funny as they were in America. But the only difficulty where the comedian would face any difficulty would be in letting the audience understand what he's trying to say. So I think culture matters a lot. And for example, if it comes to India and America, there's a huge class difference. I can't go out on the street and talk to a homeless person because he would talk rubbish. He would talk in a different language compared to me because I can speak 8 languages, but out of those 8 languages, if that guy doesn't speak any one of them, so for me and him to communicate, it's gonna be difficult. There's gonna be the language barrier, and there's a huge difference in class as well. In India, there's a huge difference between the rich, the rich, the poor, and the middle class people. There's a huge class difference. So I think, and one of the examples is porn. So how in America they show that a plumber has come to fix something at someone's house, and then later they end up having sex. That is
Mhm.
part of the pornography film that they're shooting. But in India, that would never happen. That would never happen.
Which
So
part? The
this is where
filming
I feel
part or the
like
real situation that they're referring to?
no, the real situation. Like they would not engage in any sexual activity. So there's a class difference which links to a cultural difference.
So, I mean, so you do know that that's kind of
So
like a fictitious, it's not really a scenario that people expect to happen. Oh, we got an issue here. We're
Beady,
stuck.
beady, beady.
What's going on? We're stuck. All right, so I'm assuming it's gonna drop back in, I guess. So I'm gonna ask the next question. So, and it's very relevant to the fact that we're stuck here. How does the silence when your joke doesn't land hurt? Physically, emotionally, morally, or spiritually?
some network issue.
Yes. Did you
Second.
get the last question?
No,
No.
no, no. I didn't hear any of it. I'm really sorry. Just give me a
It's all
second.
right.
I'm gonna
No.
fix it. Yeah.
Oh,
Give
it's
me.
it's working
Yeah.
now.
It's working now. Yeah. Then it's
Yeah.
fine. Then it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Some
drops in
some
and out.
network issue.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, how does the silence when your joke doesn't land hurt? Physically, emotionally, morally, or spiritually? We're back on the network issue.
There's a huge
Oh,
network issue. Give me a second. I'll just fix it. I'm really sorry. Just give me a second.
sure. Looks like you gotta cycle through some things here, huh? Ooh, the networks. Got to hop on another network. Let's see if that keeps everything working. Now I'm curious, can you still hear me as I'm, but you have your mic off. So now I'm just talking to myself, which is a very interesting scenario. Now the real question is am I going to cut this? Is it going to appear in the final version? We don't know.
Hello, yeah.
All
Can you
right.
can you hear me now?
We're
Yeah,
back. I can hear you now. So I'll ask, hopefully, last time.
yeah.
So, how does the silence when your joke doesn't land hurt? Physically, emotionally, morally, or spiritually?
Um, I'd say mentally.
Mentally. So,
Yeah.
okay, got it. So there's
And
a third question.
yeah, because I'll tell you why. The reason why it hurts when there's a silence and when there's just this pin drop silence amongst the crowd, amongst the audience, is as a comedian, you're working very hard. You think about your jokes and you think about them multiple times. And when you finally land a joke, you write it on your paper. It's part of your script. And when you say it to the audience and there's a pin drop silence, it hurts. And then you start repenting your decisions. I mean, whether you should have put that joke or not. So I think it hurts mentally. You feel bad
Okay.
that what am I doing wrong that the audience is not happy about. They're not laughing, or there's no smile on their faces. So that hurts mentally.
Okay. Mentally. All right. So then
Yeah,
would you say comics are more universal while comedians are more culturally specific?
yeah. Comics are universal, and comedians are culturally biased.
Okay, they're culturally biased. That's an interesting way of saying that. So they like to stick to a genre that they know or a group that they can pick on, for example.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, that's the thing. So, for example, in India, there are a lot of religions, and a
A lot?
Muslim. Yeah, yeah. In India, there are a lot of religions. A lot of religions. It's a
Okay.
secular country. We have got Hindus, Christians, Muslims, Sikhs, Buddhists. We have got a lot of religions. I don't even know about them, but like there's so many religions. So I
Okay.
think
Is pagan a
comics are.
religion?
Sorry,
Is pagan a religion?
what?
Pagan? You may not know the term. Before all of, I guess before Hindu, for example,
Yeah,
does that count?
Hinduism. Yeah, Hinduism. Yeah, that.
Before, like
Yeah,
it's like 6,000 years old, right? So it would be before that.
yeah. There was
Does
a
that count?
religion.
Oh, that's what I'm asking. It's called pagan. It's like it's multiple
I
poly.
haven't heard about it. I haven't heard about it. That is crazy. Because I'll,
Yeah,
I'll
there's
I'll
always
search about it
something.
after this. Yeah,
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, how about
yeah.
love and justice? So, is the highest function of comedy to expose injustice or to make people feel less alone while living with it?
I'd say both. It's
Okay.
genuinely both.
All right.
In my country, I have observed a lot of comedians joking about things, joking about particular stuff that will make people feel like they're not alone. They can relate to things, and then they're
Mhm.
not lonely. And when it comes to injustice, I think I'm allowed to say this, that in India there's a lot of injustice amongst people, and so in India we have a lot of women who get raped, kids, young girls who are like what? So there's this one case where a 2.5-year-old toddler got raped by someone, and she died, and the
Oh.
parents did not get justice. So a lot of comedians mock the government, they mock the rules, they mock everything, so that they can spread awareness about what's happening in the country, and people should take action about it. But the new generation, the Gen Z, is gonna change everything. It's gonna make revolution.
No, we're seeing it all over the world. So yeah, definitely, I agree with that. So
Yeah, yeah.
when a joke harms someone unintentionally, does love demand accountability or does justice demand defiance?
I'd say um love, not justice. It's comedy. You
Well,
you you
there's
don't need
different
justice
people
for
see.
comedy.
Okay.
According to me,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't.
Right.
I,
It's so far
it,
I've
it,
seen it's 50-50. Half the people say it's love, the other people say it's justice.
justice for what? Did the other person harm you? Did they stab
For
you? Did they?
Well, exactly. It's for the little girl that was murdered and raped. Justice for
Yeah,
her through the comedy.
justice for her through the comedy. Yeah, to spread
Yeah,
awareness about the things happening in India, happening around the world.
right.
And when it
So
comes
that's
to
the other option.
someone,
That's the other option.
yeah, that
So you
is the
can,
other option. But when it comes to love does take accountability for it.
all right. Okay, so
Yeah.
very important question. Advertising and self-promotion. Who advertises themselves more? The comic, the comedian, or the magician?
You know that place where you're not conscious and you're not sleeping either? That's your power bill to the electric company. Right here. I want us to be here with free energy, where the Wardenclyffe Tower meets the Eiffel Tower. But that's not where we are. We are here, where you've got the utility and you've got residential solar. Between these two, we know which one saves you money. This is where we can go in the meantime. But this is where I want us to be now, and this can be done now. So let me deputize you to represent DOSE, Department of Solar Efficiency, and let's get on the podcast to get the message out today. See you soon.
The comic,
Okay.
not the comedian, not the magician, the comic.
Okay. So is
That is,
self-promotion, uh-huh. Yeah.
sorry, yeah, you were saying something.
Is self-promotion seen as selling out or is it necessary for survival?
Self promotion is necessary for survival if you are a comedian and if you're
Hmm.
an entrepreneur. A comedian is an entrepreneur. So if you don't promote yourself, how will people get to know about you? If you don't
Is
advertise yourself, if you don't
is a
if you don't let
is
the
a
world.
comic an entrepreneur?
Comic is more like a company. It's a group of
A
people.
company.
It's an
Okay.
organization. Yeah, it's an
Interesting.
organization. Whereas a comedian does have a team, but at the end of the day, it's just one person alone doing the job. It's the same way as we look at PewDiePie versus T Series, which happened a few years back, where there was this YouTube war going against T Series and PewDiePie. That which YouTube channel is going to have the most subscribers? And at the end of the day, I think T Series won, or maybe PewDiePie won. But I think there was injustice towards PewDiePie because he's a one man show. It's one dude making videos, whereas T Series is an organization of multiple singers and a lot of producers who into music. It's a big organization, so an organization competing against one man is just it's unfair. Yeah.
I can see, yeah, I can see how definitely that's a great way of describing it. So,
Mhm.
um, so how about censorship and offense? So does a comic avoid offense while a comedian courts it to prove a point, like a magician?
Comedian does prove it. The comedian does. Yeah.
Okay,
If I don't have any examples in my mind right now, but if I had one, I would have explained it thoroughly.
of
But
course.
the comic avoids it. But
Okay.
depends on the topic. Depends on the topic. If it's political, then it will definitely avoid it. But if it's something else, they may show it. They may do something about it. But the comedian will definitely do the opposite, no
All
matter what
right.
it is, irrespective of the stuff, irrespective of the topic.
We'll do the opposite of
Yeah,
avoiding offense. So they'll engage in offense.
yeah, they will.
Okay.
According to
So
me, they
that
will.
fair enough.
Yeah.
So then who survives better in the cancel culture environment? The comic, the comedian, the magician, or the mudslinger?
Um, Again, the comic. It's an organization, whereas the
Hmm.
rest are just entrepreneurs trying to survive.
Hmm.
It has to be the comic. No one else can survive. It's a few people against an individual. So definitely the comic.
So what if we're a group of mudslingers?
Um, Depends on how many people. Then if the comic has more
Yeah.
people, the comic's gonna win. Depends
All
on
right.
the quantity of people.
In that case, I guess that does make a
Yeah.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about timing and delivery? Is it a science or an art?
Timing and delivery, in what sense? In acting, in comedy, in magic?
Well, so do comics rely more on structure and comedians more on rhythm and emotion?
Yeah, comics they rely on structure, whereas the comedians they rely more on the rhythm and the flow of the way the show is going. Because comic is all structured, it is scripted. Although comedy is also scripted, but it depends on the audience and what the atmosphere is at that particular stage, at that particular
Mhm.
place where the comedy is going on. Whereas the comic, it's at the end of the day, it's a comic book. It's a book which is structured. It's got a script, and everything is structured. Everything is written down. Um, One by one in order. So the atmosphere depends on the individual who's reading the comic, whereas for the comedian, the atmosphere is different because there's a bunch of people. So it depends on the how everyone's mood is, how everyone's enjoying the show. If the rhythm is, yeah, so it matters.
All
Whereas
right.
comic is more structured.
All right. So how about laughter versus applause? So are comics chasing laughs and comedians chasing applause breaks or a primetime Emmy that validate the message?
The comics are chasing laughter and the comedians are chasing applause because they need validation. At the end of the day, we all are humans, either irrespective of being rich, poor, or whatever background we are from. We all want validation, right? 'Cause it's a basic human tendency. That's the reason why a lot of people are on chat gpt on their mobile phones or on the computer, and they're chat gpting everything, that they're talking to ChatGPT as if it's their friend, or if it's their girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever. So validation is what comedians are chasing, and the comics are chasing laughter, but not as much as the comedians, because comics have been funny throughout the entire time, because that is why they're comics. They make you laugh. They're humorous.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's the
Absolutely.
difference. Yeah.
All right. So how about comedy as commentary? So when does a comedian cross into becoming a philosopher or a preacher?
When does the comedian cross? That's your
Yeah.
question, right?
Mhm.
Um, Depends. I think philosopher. I think you should become a philosopher after you have become something, or you have mastered in a skill. A comedian can only become a philosopher if he has mastered comedy, or irrespective of whatever field he's in. You have to master the field first. You have to become the master of the field. Then only you can become a philosopher. Because the journey of becoming the master teaches you a lot of things. So they always say that fall in love with the journey, you will see progress. So once you're at the top, once you have mastered the skills, you can become a philosopher and write your sayings, write your teachings, whatever you wanna tell people, whatever you wanna write about, whatever you wanna say to the world, and whatever
Mhm.
learnings you wanna share, because knowledge should be shared.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
So, Xeric, are you ready to enter the multiverse?
The multiverse. Yeah, I am.
All right. So, board game Zoomcast, play versus performance. So, you have to choose an avatar. So, if
Hmm.
comedy were a board game Zoomcast, are you competing as the colorist avatar, adding tone, mood, and shading, or the Foley artist avatar, building punchlines with soundscapes and timing?
Um, the second one.
Okay. Foley
Yeah,
artist. All right.
yeah.
So then, does comedy work better when it's painted vividly or when it's orchestrated sonically?
When it's um when it's being shown vividly, when it's being expressed vividly, yeah, that is when it is better.
All right. So,
Yeah.
so here on the Comedians and Elevators podcast, we have a tradition where the
Hmm.
previous guest asks a question for the next guest.
All right.
And the previous guest was David Connolly. And his
Mm-hmm.
question for you, Zarek, is what is more important, writing or performing stand up?
Performing. Definitely performing.
Okay.
Um, having, it's like, for example, if I were to get $100 million tomorrow and I spend it all, I waste it. So I had the script with me, but I couldn't perform it. So it's all gone. So
Hmm.
so the performance is what matters. Even if I had a dollar, even if I had 1 rupee and I perform well with it, I can get those $100,000 back. The 100 million, I can get it back easily. So the performance is what matters more than the script.
So I mean, you can get it back because you already have a script. Is that right?
Um, no, but when it comes to the difference between having a good script or being a good performer, I think being a good performer is better. You do have a
Because
script. Yeah,
you can
yeah, you do
improvise.
have.
Is that basically why it's
Yeah, you can improvise,
improvisation?
but
Yeah.
yeah, but that is what the whole point. What I'm trying to say is that the performance matters more than the script. Even if you have a bad script, at the end of the day, everybody is gonna have a script. But a bad performer with a very good script won't
Right.
make people laugh as much as a very good performer with a bad script would. Because the good performer has put more efforts into the performance than the other one.
All right. All right. So last question.
All
Legacy.
right.
Who gets remembered? Will the comics Tight Five survive time, or will the comedian's cultural point of view be more timeless?
I'd say both.
We're still in the multiverse. Huh?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'd say both. Um, see, at the end of the day, what matters is what all work you have done, what are things you have. For example, when it comes to a comedian who has highlighted injustice in the country, he
Hmm.
will be remembered. The He'll be remembered. Maybe what 50 after the next 50 years, after 5 decades, will remember the comedian by his name and will say, yeah, there used to be one of the comedians by this name, and he had a great legacy because he used to highlight the injustice the politicians were doing to the people. And whereas when it comes to the comics, it depends, because comics, they can be based on a lot of things, and they have a lot of things written in them. So if they're mocking something, or if they're bringing a change to the world, because we know so many books. And for example, we have there's this one author, his name is E.R. Braithwaite. He was an African British dude who used to face racism when he used to be in London. He was in the British Air Force, in the British Royal Air Force, and after he quit his job, he faced a lot of racism when he was doing that job. When he was part of the Royal British Air Force, he used to get a lot of respect. But when he quit it, he started facing racism. He started facing discrimination and stuff like that. So he wrote a book on his challenges, what all challenges he faced on his life journey. And today, he is still remembered. He died a few years ago. I think he lived till the age of 94 years, and he's still remembered. So his legacy is still there. So when it comes to legacy, anybody can have a legacy. You can have a legacy. I can have a legacy. Both of us can have a legacy. Depends on what all change we bring to the world.
All
Everybody can
right.
have a legacy. It's not just one person. It's just not one field. Or when it comes to a comic versus a comedian, it can be both. It can't be
Fair
just
enough.
one. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well put, Xeric. So where can everybody find you online?
Where can people find me online? Everybody can find me online on Instagram. My username is underscore TOMARR underscore. You can also Google about me. You can type my name, Xeric Tomar, and it will show you my work links. It will show you my advertisements. It will show you my Instagram. It will show you my LinkedIn profile. It will show you everything about me. Or you can also chat GPT me. You can just type my name
Ah,
and it will show you everything about me.
Very cool, Xeric. Well, thank you so much for being my guest. And for everyone, please like and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.
If you're interested in too much information like in the network state or Mantipus the chicken shit, check out this video. Or is it this one right here? Well, either way. Lizard.